Hello everyone, my name is Paul David Ainsworth-Auger. I've been visiting in Vancouver Island, British Columbia, Canada. I have some very disturbing news about the state of affairs in Canada right now. It is my sad duty to report Canada has become unsafe for Americans or other foreign visitors at this time. Since I've been here, I've documented a criminal group taking advantage of two serious holes in Canada's justice and law enforcement systems to commit crimes without any real chance of prosecution or even investigation. I've been one such target of these criminals, and I can testify that over the time I've been here, these criminals' organization has been growing in size, and they've been escalating the level of threat they present. They're now able to operate in all three major cities here on Vancouver Island. And over a year ago, they made the jump from hacking, open stalking, and dedicated harassment to attempted murder with improvised microwave weapons. I give specifics in the rest of the video, but the important part is foreign visitors are top targets because there's little chance of them staying here in the face of those threats to pursue justice. And American data and online identity credentials are especially valuable right now to criminal organizations and foreign intelligence agencies. And if, as I did, you stay, report them, and continue to pursue your complaints against them, they will do their worst against you to try to make you abandon your complaints and leave Canada. So it is my sad duty to recommend that Americans put off any plans to visit Canada, especially Vancouver Island, until Canada can fix these massive vulnerabilities in its law enforcement and justice systems. Here's the story of how I discovered all of this, with details of how badly these criminals have been exploiting these holes in Canada's systems. Originally, I came up for a spring and summer working vacation in beautiful BC. I'm a U.S. remote worker, but while born and raised in the U.S., both of my parents were Canadian. One of my Canadian cousins had posted pictures of her vacation trip to Victoria, and my travel plans for moving back out west took me through Seattle. So it was one short flight up from there, and then a few back and forths to retrieve my car and my home office for my working vacation. I learned of this situation when a local group targeted my computer's influence for hacking and stole my data, including substantial intellectual property that I was working on, product designs, etc., and my online account credentials, all of them. They got complete access to my computers and phones. When I reported them, they didn't flee. They didn't go into hiding. Instead, they began gang stalking me, occupied the apartment above when it became vacant, and started harassing me from there. They also started running a defamation campaign about me in the neighborhood, and to anyone I called or emailed. They were blatant about it as well. They stood out by my car taking pictures of me leaving and returning. And during their defamation campaign, it looked like they were recruiting others to join them in stalking me. They had people from the apartment building out there hanging out with them. This went on for a while, but when that wasn't enough to get me to quit reporting them, as I was doing so continuously, they escalated to placing a microwave oven above my head, pointing down and turning it on. They did so where I was working, at the kitchen counter, where I was sleeping, and anywhere else. I basically stood still for a while. I figured out they had an accomplice in an apartment facing mine, so they could see me through the windows and know where I was. When I called the police and I reported this, instead of going directly to their apartment to surprise them and catch them in the act, they came to my apartment and stood there talking to me for 15 minutes. And during that time, we all heard the upstairs door open and someone with heavy footsteps walk out, and the door closed behind them. When the police went to their apartment, they found nothing. I was going to stay and fight these people tooth and nail to the end. These are criminals. We do not run from criminals. We do not allow them to drive us out. But I couldn't fight against that. They hit me over and over again. When they were placing that heavy device over my head, it was dragging a cable behind it. I could hear them plugging it in, and immediately I'd started to feel very, very bad effects. I'd lose focus and concentration. I wouldn't be able to think. The top of my head and my shoulders would get hot. That's how far they're willing to go. But what's more important is that the holes Canada has in its justice system are easy to exploit by anyone. I believe about 3 months in, when they switched to open harassment and open stalking, they'd gone and applied for private investigator licenses. I had called a lawyer to ask him, how could this be? How can these people be walking around in public like this, doing these things to me? And he said, if they're private investigators, they can do anything. I asked about oversight, how they could operate in the RCMP's jurisdiction like this. He said they have no controls and no supervision. They don't have to tell the police. They could, but they don't have to. Now here's the thing. I was reporting them continuously to the police, the FBI as well. But nothing has ever happened. Here in BC, you would think that the police would investigate crimes in their jurisdiction. But here's another hole. All complaints against private investigators go to a special agency. You have to know about this agency. You have to collect documentation, and you have to send it their way. These people were attacking me with a microwave weapon. I did send up documentation to them, and I followed up with more. But I haven't heard anything back from them either, and it has been a number of months. So that left one option. A civil suit. Here in Canada, they have good laws about that. But they also have one overriding condition. You have to be able to identify the people you're trying to charge. I asked, first of all, for discovery, to find out who they were. I wasn't able to continue my case. The judge refused it, as I could not identify the people I needed discovery to identify. Now that is horribly dangerous. You have people who are effectively able to operate as a secret police and commit all the crimes in the world, and the only person who can take any action is the victim if they can definitively identify them by name. That is an open invitation for every criminal group and every foreign intelligence agency who has undiscovered people in this country to simply go get those licenses, and they'll have carte blanche to do as they wish to their victims. If you come here, you're very likely to be targeted by one of these groups. Be warned. And be safe. Skipping this year won't kill you. Coming up here right now will very likely cost you a massive case of identity theft, possibly compromised bank accounts. I advise not to do it. This is Paul Auger. Stay tuned for more news, and stay safe.